So Fender has recently updated. Well, they've been updating their series for the past 2 years. It seems
That's
like.
correct. Yeah.
From the American Standard becoming
The professional.
Professional, the American Deluxe becoming the Elite,
And then, of course, the special is now the Performer.
and then the
Maxi
Standard
Standard
Maxi is the Player. So the next series, and to me, the one that needed it the most was the Classic series.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they had the it was like a classic 70s and a classic 50s, classic 60s,
Yep.
and then the what was that? Baja was in there, which just kind of threw me off. Like, this doesn't fit in this class. It didn't make sense to me.
They also did their limited edition 50s and 60s as well.
Yeah, so it was.
They're all over the place. Keeps us on our toes. This is why we have to be experts.
So it was a very convoluted series that I had trouble even trying to sell because I would be confused on what the exact specs were of the guitars.
Let me check.
Yeah. So now, to be fair, I have a spec sheet here, but that's because we just got them 2 weeks ago,
Yeah,
and but basically all the lights have some. So we're not showcasing every one that's in the new lineup, but it is much easier to follow, much easier to understand what they're doing, and it's much easier to understand what you're getting with each guitar.
So introducing Vintera. And if you're like me, and that seems like an odd word to try to say for some reason, apparently what that's referencing is the vintage era. So each one of them is going to have, 50s, 60s, 70s?
There's just 70s, yes.
Okay, so...
And then they also did a modified version of most of them, where they kind of added some new features to it. So, and it's not modern; it's actually modified.
Yes.
So, because vintage era modern would be really confusing.
Vintage modern.
That makes sense.
It's the new old stock,
Come on.
used, vintage modern.
How many acronyms can you put about
It's the Elite Professional Performer Player Series. You haven't even seen it yet. It's so new. It's coming out at NAMM.
So definitely like the guitars. The first initial impression, we had them all on stands. You can see our video on Instagram where we put that up there, showcasing the different colors, and they look good.
I'm a fan of this handsome devil here, and since I'm already
let's start with this one.
gonna hold him up, this is... What is this?
This is the Vintera 50s Telecaster. This is, in fact, the modified version. Some of the bigger differences is going to be the neck shape. So instead of the U shape that you would get on the 50s Vintera, you actually get what is it?
It's chunky. I like it.
What do you got on the modified? Yes, you get
Something to grab
a
onto.
thick, soft V.
That's what I would have described it as too, because it's definitely it's not quite the Richie Kotzen baseball bat, but there's definitely more of a defined center, which reminds me a lot of the older V kind of shape, soft V profile of instruments that I've owned and played, and some people are a little afraid of these necks because they'll say I have little hands, but I am not Joe Perry. Anyway, now that you know that.
Alder body. I think the pickups. Oh, speaking of which, you actually do get the Baja Telly. Remember that one had Twisted Telly pickups in it. You get Twisted Telly pickups in the modified version. I believe you get the vintage style 50 single coil Telly pickups in the vintage 50s.
And I would go on to say too. You also have this S1 style switch here, and that is again. I haven't even really plugged this.
That actually is the S1 phase switch.
Okay, so this is gonna. I'm guessing depressing it's going to put it out of phase. And then in addition to that, we have one of my favorite Telly mods that I've seen.
Yeah.
Is you have your typical bridge position. I'm not going to call this a bridge like I did in that one video. We missed that.
It happens.
Editing.
It happens.
Second position being both the pickups combined. I'll just stumble over different words instead. Third position is your typical neck, and then you have your your two pickups combined in series, which can produce some more lead tones and some alternate tones. So 4-way, similar to what I've seen on some of the new thin lines, the Merle Haggard Telly, and a few other ones. And a really cool bit of modification. Get your old ashtray bridge here, and you've got your two string on a saddle, big brass barrels, and here's a.
That's a Joe hair.
That's a Joe hair there. That. And vintage style tuners as well, which I have really dug. I think all my Fenders now have these tuners.
Like the vintage style locking?
Yeah. I originally was hesitant, but I dig these.
They work.
You do have to kind of measure twice and cut once if you don't want to use the entire string and just wrap it around like a nitty.
Yeah.
But I think that they work really well, and it's so funny how sometimes things that they came up with ages ago still work.
Right.
And it may not make any difference, but the look at that popped out. You gotta love this color, or not this color, but the shape. The shape,
the circle.
Of the circle.
Which you get on both. That's
now that I realize it's been popped off, I need a tuner.
Yeah, so biggest difference I see are definitely neck shape, pickups, switching, S1 switching, and that's about it.
And I think they do go for the vintage era too. So, where you like that? Just don't lose that. So, it does have the old 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that 5-screw pick guard?
Yep.
I guess that's a little bit more historically accurate, and it's a single ply too.
Right.
So
not how I like my toilet paper.
I like my pick guards this way, but yes, not my toilet paper. I think it's nice. It's a kind of a subtle elegance that it adds to it, because there's not a whole lot going on here. It's very classic.
Seafoam green. It's all it needs.
Because we're all about vintage here and being correct. There it is. So, hey, want to hear it?
Yep.
Here you go.
Tones.
So let's go clean. Bridge. Nice. Neck. Always love Telly neck pickups. That's probably my favorite neck single coil, by the way. And then it's our series. Yeah, so that's going to be a good one. So let's use our favorite overdrive here in parallel. Love how these clean up too. And just for diligence, let's go ahead and hear how it sounds with our phase switch too. Let's use the neck pickup, because again, it's always been my favorite Telecaster sound is the neck. I think that's all Tom Morello uses, isn't it?
Sounds good.
Just all that is. So, in phase. Out of phase. So, it's very subtle. I hear more noise out of phase. It's definitely.
Yeah.
But that's nice, and it does add some of that cluckiness that definitely hear it on that lick a little bit better. But it's good if you're doing any kind of double tracking or any kind of if you want to jump out of a band mix, you hit that phase button, because it doesn't sound too good by itself usually, but man, when you put it with a double tracked rhythm on a recording,
or guitar, and you're like
trying to cut through when your band is just overwhelming you, hit that guy, and there you go. So very cool. Surf foam. Foam. It's not just surf. It's foam. But very cool. So I believe we will move on.
Yep, and just so you know, they also did a 60s Telecaster as well. We don't have one here at the shop, but definitely want to check out some of the colors on that.
Alright, so now we're going to turn it over to Rick. Rick here has got the Vintera 70s Telly Thinline, which I probably shouldn't even have had to look down and read that, because it's very obvious of what this is if you're familiar.
Yes, and it's really heavy.
super heavy.
It's not heavy at all.
It's
not heavy at all.
It's like bowling ball heavy. Cool thing about these guys is that you can tell it's very 70s as far as you have your huge bullet truss rod. You've got your more 70s style 3-bolt joint.
Yeah, that's what I was. 3 bolts.
Which this is very indicative rather of the 70s style. And then you've got, I believe these are probably going to be some sort of version of the wide range. So let's see how much I know about this.
I bet you that's what they are.
So and then your typical, 6-saddle hardtail bridge, nice classic big old barrel there.
Yep.
But let's see, we've got, this is of course being
the neck. I say the neck is not a modern C. It definitely is more of a V shape, I'd say. Am I right? Or is it?
We'll see here. So just starting from the top, this is ash body, which is very typical of this type of deal. They call this neck thin C.
The thin C, really?
Yeah. So
thin C?
Yeah, thin C.
I've been playing modern C and deep Cs, but the thin C just feels.
Hey, it's what it is. So and then of course we've got our. These are, yes, in fact, these are just your typical Fender wide range humbuckers.
1 for 2.
So I got one there too, and then your 3-position blade, master volume, master tone, your good old fashioned knurled flat top telly knobs, which I always love those.
Yeah, you can
nothing like a knob. That when you, I like a good weight to my knob.
Feels good in my
good in my hand when you're installing said things. But other than that, hey, we got pretty much the same deal here. And I don't know if we went over, but a lot of these are going to have the fretboard radius, so the curvature of the fretboard.
Oh yeah, that's something.
It's very vintage, 7 1/4, 7.25 inch radius on those guys, which is your classic Fender comparative. Now it's 9.5 on most. It's pretty modern as far as I go. But and this is our cool. What color do we have here? Is this our aged natural?
Yeah, this is.
I believe.
Yep.
Because this is not blonde and this is definitely not red.
No.
Though I do doubt my eyesight these days. So we're going to call that the aged natural.
Yep.
And yeah, let's.
Cool. I'll give him some tones. Here's just.
This should be on clean.
Neck pickup. Nice and warm.
Yeah.
Bridge pickup. Bright, but not shrill.
No, not at all. These guitars usually have a nice trim. Let's give it some gas, man. Let's put it on. So we are now using the blues driver setting on the angry driver. So let's hear. And since these guys usually have really killer sustain, and I like that tone, let's hear now our lead tone. This is the Angry Charlie on that, and let's hear some of that sustain kick in. Wow, everything that's not nailed down here just rattle is awesome. But yes, no big surprise. This thing combined with, of course, the great amp and Rick's stellar controlled feedback just then, because we are literally sitting right in front of this amp.
I like feedback.
The fact that it did not go shrill and squeal just is a testament to being able to harness such a beast.
And this not a V-neck.
This
is totally a V-neck.
This isn't a V-neck either. But I will say,
it's a weird shape.
But the V-necks, they do elongate the torso. Just so you know.
Anyway, cool guitar. I really. What other color did they did on this one?
Again,
Which one did they did?
They did the did of course, Age Natural, Candy Apple Red, and then Vintage Blonde. And I believe that is the 3 colors that I have information on right now.
Cool.
So yeah, that is this is our 70s Tele Thinline. You know, good.
I like the long range. I really do.
Oh, they're great. I think they're great.
Underrated.
So, absolutely. So let's move on. Okay, so now we've got Rick here. He's got the 60s Jazzmaster, and this is our beautiful ice blue metallic. And one of our favorite features, matching headstock. Now with this guy, you've got the, this is called a mid-60s C shape for the neck here.
It's chunky. It's pretty chunky. Like that's comparable. Like take a feel.
It's
close to it, Brian, right? Like it's not as. It's got some chunk to it.
I just had a baseball bat in my hand, so
sure.
But either way, this is definitely, you know, hey, diets were different back in the 60s, in the mid 60s. You know, people they're eating a little better nowadays. You know, they gotta keep in shape.
That's all.
Yeah, so we got the mid 60s here, and in your typical kind of Jazzmaster shape here. 3-position toggle, tons of tags.
Yeah, tons of tags.
Position 1, you got a bridge. Position 2, you got bridge and neck. Position 3 is your neck. Then the elusive Jazzmaster circuits here.
Yes.
We've got your lead circuit controls, which is slide switch down. You've got volume for your neck, volume for your bridge, a master tone, rhythm circuit controls, which is a slide switch up, 2 thumb wheel controls for the neck, pickup, volume, and tone.
Right.
I fancy myself to be a little bit of a tweaker when it comes to my knobs.
Well, I would say just think of it this way, because I was confused about the Jazzmaster.
These kind of still are a mystery to me.
It's not as much of the Jaguar. Jaguar doesn't make any sense. Now, just think of it this way. Think of it this way. Down normal, right? Normal 3-way toggle. What the up position does is give you a 3rd pickup sound. So you can set the volume or the tone of just the neck pickup. So when you're up, that's all it's going to do. This hardware, this does not factor into what's going on. So you can set it for a real dark sound if you want to. Jazzmaster pickup. So you can set it for real dark.
Much
right?
darker.
So that's dark, but then I want normal neck pickup. Yep.
So these, they did these, and I've got a Pal Faro board on these.
That is correct.
And then you can get this also in Olympic white.
Okay.
And then you can argue with people about what color white you have. Pickups.
Arctic white.
Arctic white.
Polar white.
Tundra white. Permafrost white.
50 Shades of White.
Oh, God. Oh, so I don't think we even said, but these are the vintage 60s single coil Jazzmasters, which, you know, I always wondered, you know, Jazzmaster and P90, are they the same, or are they in fact
They are very different.
Okay.
Yep.
So it is the difference between, like, say, a humbucker and a wide range. While they do often look very similar, they are technically different things.
Well, yes, yeah, but the wide range is a humbucker, and is closest resemblance to a humbucker.
Okay.
A lot of people look at the Jazzmaster pickup and the P90 and think it's the same thing, whereas they're both single coils. But when you pull the Jazzmaster pickup out, it's very flat.
Okay.
So it's very flat and is also very wide, whereas a P90 is still thick. So yeah,
Cool.
But anyway, they are different and they do sound different.
They definitely learned something. So
Yeah.
other than that, I think we've got most of that thing. So we should still have your Similar bridge and bar.
Yes, and even what's cool is it even has the little lock feature, so you can lock your tremolo, which is cool. So
yes,
you know,
especially if you're playing like this sans bar and you're not going to use it,
it'll cut down on some of the rattle that they're notoriously known for.
And of course, you know, gotta love that matching headstock.
I'm a sucker for matching headstocks.
I don't understand why that's not on all.
It really should.
I mean, it's like, how much paint could that cost?
But that's just something 60s. That's what they started doing on these, you know, a lot of guitars, but Jazzmaster especially.
So that is that. So
cool. Next guitar.
Next.
Okie dokes. All right. So next in our Vintera close-up, I guess we'll call this Vintera Series walkthrough.
Shootout.
Limited quantity because there are all other stores. All right, so Joe has the Vintera 60s Mustang.
Very cool. I love
the
this
Mustang.
color. What was
this color? It's seafoam.
Seafoam green.
Mm-hmm. Seafoam green.
Surf seafoam green. Ocean.
They also did a 3-color sunburst, which is Joe's favorite color.
Ah, I've never seen that before. It's so new and original.
Placid blue. So Mustang, a big thing I know about the Mustang is
shorter scale,
right?
Oh yeah, that's the big one.
It is
24, I believe.
24. That's short.
That's shorter than a Les Paul scale length. And for those of you who are measuring your instrument and saying no, it isn't. Remember, scale length is going to be from your nut to your bridge. So only any of this matters. Anything past is irrelevant. So scale length being from basically from here to here.
Is it the same? Is the Jaguar 24 as well? Is that what
I believe the Jaguar is.
That's one of those scale lengths, and I know it's shorter. Yeah, it's the same.
To put it in perspective, Strats, Tellies, a lot of typical guitars, 25.5 inches is the scale length. Les Pauls, Gibsons, typically 24 3/4, so that's 3/4 of an inch different. This is 24, so three quarters of an inch.
For people that don't know, when we talk about scale length,
and so 3/4 of an inch shorter than a Les Paul, 1.5 inches shorter than your typical Fender, Telly, Strat, things like that.
And that is from bridge to nut. Correct?
So an advantage of that is for players that maybe don't have as wide of a stretch. It makes it a little more compact. Another benefit, if you like, is that it also produces a slightly easier bend.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The
feel is because you're not stretching the string over a longer distance, which doesn't sound like much, but when you're talking about something that's less than 2 feet, that's a percentage. That is a actual whole number if you think about it. So,
yeah.
So that's a big one.
And it comes with 10 to 46.
Should, yes,
which
is a lot again, like a 24 3/4 inch guitar would have. You got your volume, you've got your tone, and then there's 3-way switch for each pickup, which I'm learning as I'm going here, where you can either turn the pickup on, off, or out of phase.
Yes, that is.
So and that allows you to
burst
do
polarity.
Anything, reverse. I'm pretty sure.
Controls phase switching. Yep.
Yeah, it's the same. It's two different names for the same thing. So what we have the ability to do is that we can have the everything off, like the volume's cranked. Not getting anything though because I have the pickups off, and we can combine that anyway. So we can do a bridge. We can do bridge out of phase. We can do neck. Do neck out of phase. Then we can even combine those in any way. So if we want to do both on, do both or one out of phase. That makes a difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
You hear the
we have both out of phase. And just for fun. So pretty simple once you get the idea. It took me a second to kind of wrap my head around it because I'm so used to just like your standard bonehead 3-way switch kind of deal. But a cool thing because you can really get different tones for different things, and I think no big surprise. I think the neck pickup sound. Either one singled out sounds good to me, and even combined. That's probably where I'd land if I was going to drive it. nice buzz saw. Very punk rock. Or let's flip the phase. Very cool. And typical tone knob as well, which I love having this, guys. Gotta use it every once in a while. It gets a little bright. You want to clean it up. It helps.
How's the neck feel?
This is very, I mean, this doesn't feel much different than any modern kind of Fender style, kind of C-shape.
It is called a 60s C.
There you go.
60 C.
So it's just, to me, I mean, I'm sure there's a slight difference that my weird little hand can't feel, but to me, that's just, if you're used to Fender, that's going to be what you're used to. I think the radius definitely feels a little bit different, being that vintage radius.
Yeah, radius on this is it's a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it definitely.
Which again, for those of you who aren't aware, when we say radius of the fretboard and when we say neck profile, let me clarify. 2 different things.
Yes.
By the way, neck profile, fretboard radius.
Mm-hmm.
Those are different. A lot of people, I feel, mix those terms up and they get really, really opinionated about a thing they are completely unsure about. It's funny.
Yes.
So fretboard radius, these things are not flat. They have a certain curvature to them. So if you look down the sight of your guitar, you will see that.
Yep.
So what that means is that this has a little bit more curve than your modern Fender. It's not as flat, and it's definitely not as flat as, say, even more modern guitars like certain like Ibanez or 7 strings or classical.
Yeah.
16. I mean, I think my Ibanez 7 string is a 16 or 17 inch radius. So a good bit flat. So I definitely feel the difference here. But what that's great about is chording, especially when you're down here. It's really easy to chord. It may make some of you shredders a little bit uneasy because it's a little more curved.
Yeah.
It's not as flat. And it might pinch off when you try to...
Not the setup.
Not the setup. Knowing what you're doing...
Yeah.
Could help too. But...
I like the white little vintage dot things.
It adds a nice touch. It's definitely gives you, like... If I was gonna go do a surf rock video right now, I'm taking this guy probably. Yeah. It looks very... This is Adam West Batman. This is very 60s. It's good.
And then it's just 60 style single coils on there.
Mm-hmm.
So they did Strats, they did Tellys, they did Jazzmasters, they did the Jaguar, they did Mustang, and they also did a Jazz and a P bass. So here is the. I'll let you, because
this is Fire Mist Gold. Yes, we're supposed to be switching off.
Yes.
Let's see if I remember that one. And yes, they call this Fire Mist Gold, which to me it's a bit more rosy, more champagne-y than your typical Aztec Gold or Shoreline Gold or any of those. So, and I think that's where the Fire name comes from, because to me, and I'm not, as you can tell, I'm super into jewelry. I think that's more of a rose gold color. It's got almost a pink brownish hue to it in the right light. Beautiful color, beautiful gold, super cool. And then your typical jazz bass fashion here. You've got your jazz knobs with the little tone, individual volume for each of those. Let me just set those down.
You dropped your spec sheet.
You got your spec sheet in my Aztec.
So this is the 60s, right?
Yes, this is our 60s. So
I was thinking 70s would have the.
So we've got a lot of your typical stuff here with you got your alder body, alder. So it should have a nice weight to those concerned.
It's not light.
It's not light. Alder is typically a little bit heavier than, say, basswood or anything like that. You have a 60s C here. We're noticing a pattern here with the 60s.
Yeah.
Good one to note here. A lot of these had the, in fact, I think everything across the board had the synthetic bone. So this is your, kind of probably new bone style synthetic bone. You have your open gear, vintage. They call this the vintage reverse open gear tuning machines here. So it's pretty. I don't think they're much different than what's on my P bass. They are maybe, but then you have, of course, your 4-ply tortoise shell here, which is your for those of you who love this. This is your tortoise shell, and even though I'm not a fan of pick guards, this looks good on the gold, so it works very well together. You have a pickup switching here of a blend control, which volume 1 is your neck pickup, volume 2 is your bridge pickup, and then of course the tiny knob for your tone there. Right. So very jazz bassy. Cool. Yeah, and then that's pretty much a jazz bass.
That's a jazz bass.
So you still have your classic tapered neck here. I'm gonna taper your neck.
Taper, which means it gets thinner as you go up.
And then your typical jazz bass, kind of slimmer offset body compared to their P bass models. Which since we're on the subject, do they do one of those? They did a Mustang bass as well.
Oh, cool.
So while we didn't get one, we do have it available.
Oh gosh.
I'm not seeing a P bass.
No, so they didn't do that. They did.
They did do a P bass. What's up with all the P bass hate, guys? I love my P bass.
No.
Fender. Hello.
I'll double check. Yeah.
Hello, McFender. Yeah, I'm kind of biffed here. I don't think there's a P bass.
No, the P bass was definitely.
I mean, that's the original electric bass, man. How you gonna leave it out, man? Show it some love.
That's just the spec sheets that turn it out.
Okay. Well, maybe there is.
Maybe there is.
Who knows?
We'll double
the
check.
elusive P bass, but
very cool though.
Very cool. It's. I'm gonna say P bass one more time. I love P basses, but if I was gonna pick up a jazz bass right now, that thing would be one that I'd be eyeballing, because as Rick may have alluded to you about my love for 3-tone sunburst.
Right, it's a cool color.
This is different.
Yeah.
This isn't something I see every day. Every day. That about sums it up for the Vintera series, our vintage era, at least as far as what we have here. We're going to probably do a follow-up if we can, if we get any more of the Strats, maybe some of the Mustang bass, or I hear there's a Tele with a Bigsby.
Tele with a Bigsby.
Ooh, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
Sunburst.
Some people like that. So.
But yeah, definitely I've liked what they did. I like how they restructured it, and I do like that it's easier to understand and also be able to explain. So definitely stop by any of our locations to see some of the models available.
Try them out. Fall in love with them. Buy them all.
I'm Rick.
I'm Joe.
Thanks for watching.
Goodbye. Vacation!